Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Filmmakers Guide to the Galaxy,
Hey
episode
guys,
4, I think. Is that right?
four it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
number
4.
four.
And welcome, Phil. Welcome to the house that is the Filmmakers Guide to the Galaxy.
Amazing. Thank you very much for having me, guys. Cheers,
That's all
Simon.
right.
Cheers, James.
Thanks a lot for
Very
coming on,
exciting.
man. It's a pleasure.
My
Um,
pleasure. My pleasure's all mine. It's really exciting.
yeah, well, we just wanted to kind of get you on board, really, just to sort of see what life in your world is like. So I mean, but before we kind of go through those things, we wanted to kind of know, what were you watching during this whole quarantine? Like, what documentaries and those kind of things are you into that kind of make you do what you do?
Okay, that's a really good question. Is that? I mean, obviously, I saw documentary. I've seen the Tiger one, Tiger King.
Yeah,
That was
Yeah.
Tiger King.
pretty incredible.
Is that you
You
next
know,
year? Are you going to do the sequel?
well, no, you know what? It's what I'm learning from the Americans who are making all these incredible documentary series at the moment, and they have been for the past sort of 2 years. I've never really rated American documentaries. I thought they were all always a bit like the music's too much and
Yeah,
the commentary's
yeah,
too much, and it's always a little bit too dynamic. But recently, this last couple of years, Netflix and what I've been seeing on the internet, obviously, and with like Blackfish and things like that, they really sort of pushing the envelope in
yeah,
access, and it's really exciting for me as a documentary maker to see some of just the sort of 360 access that they get on these shows, because they get everybody. They get the like, look at that cat one that was just on. They get they get the killer's mum. They get everybody is involved. So I think that's sort of really inspirational. And
yeah. They get all actors, don't they? Like they seem to speak to everyone.
they feature everyone, and it's just brilliant. And I think they really take that sort of we your right to reply, and they take it really seriously. And everybody wants to reply. Everybody wants to speak about whatever's going on. So that's actually really inspirational. And I think
Yeah,
for once, us British filmmakers have got to play a bit of catch up in the documentary world,
Yeah,
not in the
definitely.
feature film world, but in the documentary world. Sure, we've got to play a bit of catch up there, because they're doing it really well.
But we don't
And
have
sorry,
people. We don't have people who are in tigers. That's the problem.
no.
yeah. I was gonna say you got to
We're not as
find that
mental.
really wacky person, don't you? That really crazy story that suddenly
Yeah.
explodes whilst you're filming.
Well, what's great about it is it seems to be what's really exciting for me is with these really long projects, which I love. It turns out as they're filming it that the story is actually happening right now and shit, and
Yeah,
that's what you want. It's every filmmaker's dream, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
You're looking for actuality all day, and you might be filming something for 7 months and nothing really happens, but then in that one day, everything happens, and
yeah,
everything you shot previously is all really useful because it tells the whole story all the way in. So
yeah, definitely.
you're looking for projects just like that.
Have you
I
seen?
it's like
I mean,
Have you seen?
it's a surprise, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Have you seen Icarus? No, wait, Icarus. That's the one.
Oh, I
Icarus.
don't think I have actually.
The one
No,
about the doping scandal of the Olympics.
no, I've not seen it, but I've got to
Oh,
watch that.
yeah, I think
I've
it's called
got to watch
Icarus.
that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
good.
yeah.
It's really good, and I think like they found things out, and then it led
I think hold on.
to carry on, into a deeper sort of investigation.
I think that whole world of top sports personalities, dope and stuff like that is really interesting. I think there's just a lot of top end sports I mean, I filmed Tyson Fury last year, and the whole world of top end sports is just it's so interesting. You know what I mean? So I think I'll definitely look forward to seeing that for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's like yeah, you can start looking at one thing, and then as you're filming it and documenting it, suddenly something else opens up. You're like, oh wow, I need to go look at this now as well, isn't it? Next thing you know, yeah, 9 months
That's
later, you've got so
that's
much
what I
to
love.
do.
That's what I love about it. As sort of opposed to what you guys probably do a little bit more than I do. Sort of the filming more dramatized, sort of dramatic sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Um, I, we go in with an idea of what we want to get, but you you really never know what you're going to get. You're not
Yeah, yeah,
100%. Are you? You've got an idea where you want to go, but every day's a new page, every day's a new script. So it's kind of exciting. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
that's
But,
really cool.
yeah.
yeah, definitely.
But also it can be really frustrating because, like I said a minute ago, like not much might happen for a long time, and you've got execs and commissioners breathing down your neck saying what you're getting, and you're like, well, this, and if if you don't get sparks from it, then they're like, what we're doing up in Hartlepool or down in Birmingham or over in Texas, what we're doing there.
Yeah.
So it's fucking a bit scary sometimes.
So how does it work though? Like if you are documenting like a person or a possible event, is it you sort of schedule a time frame of like several months, or it's like a flexible time frame, or?
Oh gosh, it all sort of depends really. You've got your much more formatted shows, say for instance SAS Who Dares Wins, which is much more sort of it's a documentary because we're following like people on a journey through a process. So, but we're sort of creating that world, so it's much more structured. And we know that in 2 days we've got 48 hours to film one episode, and we've got to film 6 episodes in 2 weeks or whatever it is. So that is really structured. Every morning we're up at 4 a.m. and every night we're bedded down, we've finished, and we've done for 11. But we know sort of pretty much what's going to happen the next day in the task. We don't necessarily know what our characters are going to do, but in the task. But then I do a lot of these sort of really long running obstocs as well, stuff like Benefit Street, for instance, or something like that. Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is a good one because we started it and we didn't know that the second Wilder fight was going to happen, when it was going to happen. We didn't know that it was going to. Nothing was ever certain. All we knew that we'd got access to Tyson Fury for the next. I think we had him for down on paper. We had him for a month, 31 days for the next 6 months or something like that.
Yes.
Now we know what we want to get. We know what we want to see, but we've got no guarantees of what we're going to get and what we're going to see. Do you know what I mean? And it's sort of really scary, but also really sort of freeing as well, because you just go into every day going, I don't really know what's going to happen next.
So in terms of like your background before going into like observational documentary, which is kind of what you're doing, what's your kind of what was like your background like of going into this? Like I saw you went to Bournemouth.
I went to Bournemouth Film School. Film School. I graduated.
Was that the Arts Institute? Was it?
Yeah, the Arts Institute.
I went there. Good place.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Alumni. So that's cool because you know what it's like, but it's got quite a good reputation, hasn't it? So it took me 2 years to get in there to start with, because when I first went down, I didn't get any joy and they wouldn't let me go. And so the second time when I went down, I sort of just said, look, if you don't let me come in this time, I'm going to be here next year, and I'm going to be here the next year, and I'm going to be here the next year. So you're going to have to let me in, if you know what I mean. Otherwise, it's just going to get boring for everybody. So Neil Grant granted me permission, and I got a place, which I was so enthusiastic about.
It worked.
It worked. I don't know. But you know what? It's an amazing place because they just give you, as you'll know, they just give you absolute sort of freedom to express yourself in any way that you can on film. Do you know what I mean? They give you proper film cameras. They give you proper edit suites. I know many colleges do that, but like it is the real deal, and they give you proper money to make it as well.
So how did you go from there to like going to doing like SAS programs? How did that go from there to there?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, but I obviously started as a runner then. Straight after film school finished, I got the sort of I got a runner's job. I think it was a CBBC thing, and then I got a runner's job on a Channel 4 Film 4 thing in Sheffield. So that was a drama, and I obviously loved the whole process. It took a couple of years before I managed to get onto a documentary, because it's what I always wanted to make, was documentaries.
Right.
And I ended up spending a year up in Yorkshire, where I'm from, in Leeds, filming something called Beauty School for Sky One. And I was basically like a production assistant holding a boom. I took the camera home every night, looked after it, did all the batteries, did all the cards, it was tape then. I did all the tapes and sorted everything out. But I learned how to use that camera a lot because I just had a baby myself, and and I just filmed her on a night. This my little baby with my I think it was a Sony 570 DV camera. It was cool, and I just learnt that camera basically. And working for Landmark Films, there's a guy called Nick O'Dwyer who runs the company. He trusted me then to go on and shoot his next project, which was called The Strangest Village in Britain. And I think that was in 2005, and it was a Channel 4 thing. It was a Channel 4 documentary, 1 hour, and it went. I mean, it couldn't have gone any better. I still get people still call me up on that documentary. They say, "Oh, we really love the style. We love how it's filmed and all that." And it's funny. It always makes me laugh when people say they love the style of it, because it's shot really wide on this J11 lens, and it's just pretty much it's all shot really wide, but people are coming up really close to the camera. But the only reason I shot it wide, I just didn't want to miss anything. I didn't want anything to be out of focus, and I didn't want to miss what was going on, what I was seeing in front of me, because it was all just absolute chaos and brilliant. So I just shot it all wide, and people still talk about it, how that style is. So yeah,
You set your style right there in the first one. Brilliant.
Yeah. Keep it wide.
Yeah. So like in terms of your like your method in the madness, as it were, like what's your approach to these projects, and like if you can explain to the people watching, like what's your role, like, you know, is it director, is it producer, are you self-shooter, like how does it work? Because obviously in a drama world, you're either a producer, either a director, you're either DOP. Obviously in TV, there's a lot of like cross-contamination, as it were, isn't there, in terms of like their roles, because you've got so many different styles out there for TV.
Yeah. I think you know, with documentaries that we make, we want much smaller teams than we do in what you're doing with dramas and stuff, because they're generally a bit more sort of intimate, and it's real people's lives, and you're going into real people's homes and real people's situations, workplaces, whatever. So you've got to keep your crew small. So basically, as a shooting PD, which is what I am, I film stuff pretty much generally with maybe 1 or 2 other people at any one time, and it's, you know, it's really tight, it's really small and compact, mainly because we don't want people to get sort of put off by a million strangers hanging around. You know what I mean?
You want to sort of be invisible, even as much as you can. Exactly.
So, you know, a lot of the time we might not film for a couple of weeks. You know, I mean, I find it difficult not to film. I've got a bit of a, like, I film everything. Like, I love filming people doing the most boring and menial tasks, and I just like getting to know people, seeing how they move. Everything I do, I feel like it's all about body language, and it's weird. Like, so your question was about how do you sort of do it? It's like it sounds a bit weird, but it's a bit like hunting perhaps would be, and I try not to chase people down. I'm not one of these hounding sort of reportage sort of people. I just hang around with somebody and just hopefully not even let them notice that I'm filming them, not in a weird, pervy, creepy sense, but in a sort of just a really natural setting. Like, I don't tend to put lights up if I can get away with it. It's all natural lighting. It's always on the shoulder. It's rare that I get my sticks out unless it's, you know, I'm doing GVs. But I rarely shoot anything on the sticks. And I just try my best to let the action unfold and let it go. And I never try not to ask people to do things again, or, you know, all those things, because I like the spontaneity of life, really. And it can cause issues, you know, with an edit. But you know, as long as you're
a lot of hours of footage,
and it's a lot of hours of footage.
Yeah.
Mate, some of it, like Benefit Street, we filmed over a year for, I think it was 5 episodes. So for 5 hours, we filmed a full year or whatever. And I was shooting, you know, probably like eight hours a day. Like, no kidding. Like 8, and it'd be like 2 cameras as well. So you probably, you know, you're going through a lot of footage there for 5 hours of TV.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be the editor.
Yeah.
I know. Well, Simon Evans at Love Productions, he cuts a lot of the stuff that I've filmed, and he must have a patience of the same, because he's an awesome editor. He's a wonderful guy. He really gets gets what I do as well. So it's, you know, filming for him is always like a pleasure really, and he's never really complained too much.
Yeah. So like, let's do you just
But I was
want to
gonna
quickly
say,
move on? Yeah.
with those, for example, like the SAS, and so how many cameras would you have on that? Because it seems like you capture so much of it in those days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
not you. It's just you.
you know, SAS is like a whole new level of like
Different.
operation. Like we've got, I don't actually know how many people are on the ground while we're making it there, but we've got two teams basically. There's off rig and there's on rig. So on rig's all the hot head stuff. It's all the hot cameras. It's all the ones in the barracks where they're sleeping, where they're eating, all that sort of stuff. And there's a whole team, as you can imagine, galleries, producers, story producers, loggers, the full production office, all that sort of stuff, lighting guys, art department, all that sort of stuff. And then there's our team that I'm part of, which is off rig, and there we've got two producer directors, me and someone else, a couple of DV directors, maybe 3 or 4 APs, 2 or 3 dedicated proper DOPs, cameramen, and then researchers, sound people. And so you're looking at an off-rig crew that can range in size between sort of 1 or 2 people to sort of 30 people off-rig, all filming sort of 25 recruits and 5 DS. It's mental, like logistically.
It sounds crazy.
Camera-wise, it's.
So how many cameras are rolling? Like, say, if they're doing a training exercise,
If we're doing a minimum, if we're off rig, a minimum of, and it's a full setup, you've got a minimum of 6 cameras. I'd say 5 or 6 cameras.
That's because they've got a lot of participants in there.
Yeah.
And you want to see all their reactions.
Exactly. I mean, we might get split up between all that. Do you know what I mean? We might get split up, and I could very well end up with just one person over in a corner somewhere, and we're on our own. But around us, there'll be capabilities. There's probably the capability of having another 4 cameras going as well at any one time as well. So
I've always found it really interesting how you don't film each other, and you always, whenever you see someone else, you're like, you obviously have to just pan away, or you just hope they're not in the shot.
Yeah, I think I know they've painted a few of us out a few times. I saw myself actually. I saw myself on TV on Monday night, and I see myself in Chile last year as well, running up the mountain. So
the drone shot.
Yeah. Well, the drone, yeah, exactly. The drone shots were always getting painted out of that stuff. It's amazing, isn't it? But it's just phenomenal. I love making SAS. SAS is not like any other show I work on really, because it's a completely different beast, but it's wonderful. Like, it's exhilarating. It tests you mentally, editorially. There's something always happening, and technically there's something always happening because you're always in like really remote places, and it's generally really shit weather. And I dreaded, like, we were in Scotland this year, and I dreaded, like, I seen an email that we got sent with the amount of camera equipment that got damaged. Oh my god!
Ouch!
Ouch! Like proper ouch! So many cameras, because it was just so wet and windy, and like the rain was coming down, but the wind was blowing it back up. So everything was, rain and electrics don't work together very well, and everything was just like shorting out and dying.
It's a great show. I love the show.
Thank you. I mean, it's an amazing, huge team, and everyone like really gets into it. So I think it's one of those, isn't it? If you're really enjoying yourself doing something, hopefully that sort of projects onto the screen, doesn't it?
Yeah. In terms of the logistics and like how many like people you have and stuff. So you say you've got like drones. Have you got people with like gimbals and stuff, or is it always handheld?
We've got Ronin. We've got little Ronins cameras. So we've got people on Ronins. We've got people on smaller sort of Lumix cameras or Sony A7s. We've got people on Aries, people on Sony FS7s.
Is that just because of the landscape, or is that just like what's the purpose of having it all different?
Because you just don't know what you're gonna face. You don't necessarily know where. yeah, where you're gonna, I mean, you know where we're gonna be, but you don't know until you're doing it often what bit of kit you're gonna need to do it with. Do you know what I mean? You definitely, you probably know in the morning, and you'll go into the kit room and you'll have a massive like selection of lenses. You can have any lens you want, any lens you want. You can go in there and pick up, and you sort of want to, because you're out there with them. So you've got literally, I've got an army rucksack full of shit, and it's on your back, and you don't want to become too tired. You know what I mean? It's like it's a proper army. It's like a proper exercise. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So you want to be sort of prepared, but you also don't want to be underprepared, because if you're underprepared and you're out in the middle of nowhere, you're not going to get what you need, are you? So you need to take everything with you, and so because you've got everything with you, it sort you kind of lets you say, well, you know what, on this bit I'm going to do it like this, or on this bit I'm going to go like that. Um, and we've got like this last time we had a guy called Max. He was our series director. He was awesome, and he sort of orchestrated the whole sort of madness of it all. And he'd give us good clues about where we should be, going, and that sort of stuff. So it's it's logistically incredibly difficult to get your head round, but when it happens, you've just got to go.
Yeah.
Keep up with it. You can just keep up with it, and just keep up with it and go. Because as soon as you stop, you're like, "What the fuck? What's going on?"
That's mad.
It's brilliant.
So in terms of like the staging, like I know you just mentioned the director. So like I take it you're obviously a self-shooting director on say like on Tyson Fury thing, but like on the SAS thing, you're more of a camera op. I take it.
Um, I'm no, I'm not really. I'm a producer director, which is so that's I am a camera operator because I operate a camera,
Yeah.
but I've got like a proper editorial thought process going into. And this is nothing to take away from the other camera ops, because there are brilliant camera ops in
Yeah.
there who obviously think about the story and editorial as well. But it's our sort of job to really drive the editorial on the ground and report that back to
So
the
do you make
gallery
notes
and
and stuff
the
then?
exec. Yeah. So
Oh, okay.
we
Yeah.
WhatsApp's groups, writing down where we think our characters are going to be going, what we're going to what we're thinking about, whether they've got any injuries or grievances, or everything, every little emotion that they've got. We're proper spies.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
And
mean? We're just
you put down like your key scenes. You're like, okay, so you got to check out about around 4 p.m. This happened. This is great footage, or this is great incident and stuff like that. Yeah.
exactly, exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas and the camera, the camera ops do, and we run. It's really tight. It's run really tight, and everyone sort of knows what everyone's doing. But I think the responsibility is on us, two producer directors out in the field, to make sure that we're getting the stories that are sort of being told to us from the gallery and on the on rig, and that
Yeah.
they're also getting to know what's happening on the ground as well. So it's sort of our role to do that, along with all the APs and researchers, because everybody, there's so much going on there. You've got to listen to everybody, because it's easy to miss something, and there's nothing worse than sort of being told that something incredible happened, and then did anyone get that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because actually,
Oops.
the most important thing that we need to film out there is, that it's for VW. It's for when the moment the armbands come off.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's sort of like a bit of a, I know it sounds a bit weird really, but it's sort of a little bit of a competition about who's going to get that shot. Do you know what I mean? So the VW shot is obviously the money shot, and you've got to be clued up as to when it's going to happen, because it just happens. It just fucking happens.
So is nothing
And
staged? As in terms of like they won't go. Can you never go? Oh, we want to go for another take on that. Sorry, we've missed it. We fucked up.
Probably not with that.
no, I mean
There's literally nothing staged.
No, it's nothing staged. It's happening, and you've got to be you've got to be fully aware of what's going on. It's really important.
So it's like a live
really
event.
Important.
It's like a live event, but in the Highlands.
Mate, it's a live event in the Highlands, but that like barely any of it is going to be actually shown. Do you know what I mean? So it's really it's really weird, because you could be out there all day. You are out there all day, and you're getting soaked. You get all the elements are with you, cameras are getting broken, blah, 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 but it's all still happening because
Yeah.
Ant, Jason, Ollie, Billy, and Jay won't stop it for you. Because it's this is, and people don't understand this because they don't see us making it, but it's their show, it's the DS's show, it's Ant's show, it's Billy's show, it's all their show, and it's their bubble. So we don't even talk to we don't really even talk to them guys. A little bit we do.
I've seen your Instagram stories. I've seen you speaking to them.
You see, so we've got to keep a little bit of a rapport because I want people to be natural with me. Do you know what I mean? I want people to be natural in front of my camera, so I don't want to be too much of a robot. But at the same time, I don't want to invade on Ant's discipline or whatever he's wanting to get across. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to get involved in that bubble. And he definitely doesn't want me stopping him and asking him how they're feeling about anything. Do you know what I mean? So
he's doing his big speech. He's all angry. He's swearing, and suddenly you just get in between him, start filming him in the face. He's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. Oh no, you see, he doesn't mind that. He doesn't mind that as long as I'm filming. As long as I've got his good side. I mean, he has got no bad angles. That's what he says. But I couldn't stop it verbally. Do you know what I mean? I get crucified, mate. I was getting into the back of a Land Rover a couple of months ago up in Scotland, and I'd just run. I'm not kidding. I must have run 6 miles across fucking valleys and up and down, and I was carrying the heavy camera as well, and I'm running across. I'm trying to keep up with whoever it was. I won't tell you. I don't want there's no spoilers. I'm getting into the back of a Land Rover, and I just hear this. Phil, get that fucking camera. And I'm like, oh shit. His aunt stood up on the top of a hill somewhere, watching whatever's going on, just grilling me because he wants this Land Rover to fuck off. And it's just like, okay, I'm getting in.
So it's when one of your cameramen come up and they take off their armband.
Mate, that's what I need to do. James. I'm out of here. I'm done.
Yeah.
So in terms of you just brought it up. So in terms of the beasting and stuff, do you guys have to if they have to do a 20k run, do you have to go 20k with them, or do you have teams at the beginning, middle, and then the end? Okay. Then drone goes in between, sort of thing.
It's a bit of both, really. So we try and coordinate it as much as possible. But once you get into it, if you're left behind, there's no way you're going to catch up. So you've got to keep up the whole time. So we will do lots of stopping and starting, but we have got to get back to the front. Do you know what I mean? We've got to get. So we do relay races with our colleagues, but we've also got to keep up the whole time as well. Because once they've gone out of sight, it's really difficult to catch up with them. That's why I keep saying you've got to keep up. Because once they've gone, they've gone. But yeah. Well, just remind me of that a little bit because there was something I wanted to tell you and I can't remember what I was going to say. What was that question again? Just quickly.
Oh, just about the fitness and the groups and fitness. Have you got someone at the beginning, the middle, and the end, like teams, like you said, a relay.
Yeah, that's it. Okay,
because you can't run the whole 20k with a camera and a rucksack.
We do. Yeah, no, we do. We do that. We do that. That's why we've got to try and I strip my camera down right down. So I think this year we had FS7s. I just barely had anything on it other than the lens. I used small batteries. I didn't bother with the big batteries. A year before, I used a Canon and just didn't have any rig, nothing. I was just using it sort of handheld. But my trick, I shouldn't tell you this. I like to stay at the back because that's where the slow coaches are, and that's where all the good action happens.
Yeah, because they're getting told off, aren't
they? They're the ones getting told off. They're the ones VWing. All the good shit happens at the back. So I let the younger guys run off the head and fucking keep up, and I try and stay with what's going on.
It's a good idea though. You want to capture all the people who are lagging.
And you can not have to run as fast.
Yeah. Well, but that's where the story's at generally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, but it's a lot of fun, and you know what? After filming, we do two series back to back, and it's just absolutely.
Really?
It's exhausting.
So do you do
Is it normal and then the celebs back to back like that?
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah. We have I think it's 3 or 4 days off in between, but those are sort of recce days because we'll go to different locations around and about. So we'll go have a look at new places and stuff. But yeah, it's back to back. So the end of a month, you are absolutely.
You're up at 4 a.m. every day and going to bed at whatever time.
Pretty much, yeah. And sometimes we're up in the middle of the night because they'll get them out onto some exercise at like 2 a.m. or something. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's hardcore,
but fun at the same time, isn't it?
You get a real sense of satisfaction at the end of it.
Yeah.
At the time it's horrible, but at the end of it, you get a real I've done it.
It's one of those things that have scared you at the time, but then you look back, you're like, actually, it was worth doing just for the memories.
100%. And I remember before I went to the first one I did was in Morocco. I was actually quite scared, I think, because I'd obviously heard about the show and I'd watched the show and I was quite interested in it, but I was worried that my physicality, I wouldn't be fit enough to do it. And actually, I found it all right. And I thought, I've got this, I can do this. This last one in Scotland was just so tough because everywhere you run, there's like pine trees, and they're all really brittle, so they just fall over. So there's just holes everywhere, and no matter which direction you go in, there's holes. So you just fall over a lot. Like you just fall over, and it's because you're looking at the camera, because you're looking down at the eyepiece, or you're just concentrating on the monitor. You just don't see what's sort of around you there, and you just fall over, and you sort of like just smash the camera. It's gone.
The behind the scenes footage.
Yeah,
lots of people.
Phil, you said to me.
Swearing.
Phil, you said to me earlier that you need to they need to make a making of the for SAS just to see how it's made. Just like
I would put that. I think it'd be really good for Minnow to make with that. I'd love to make the making of, because I feel like I might be getting a bit old for this.
It'd be quite funny to watch, I think.
It'd be funny. Honestly, it would be fucking good. It would be good. But I think because SAS has got sometimes it's quite, I mean, it's not, there's some really funny moments in SAS, but it's because it's got quite serious tones to it. I think we try and sort of steer away from the laugh and the joke. But I think actually it could get a lot from it. I think it'd be really quite popular because there is a lot of laughs and there is a lot of jokes, and the DS are hilarious, the recruits are hilarious, and a lot of the guys who work on the team are obviously massively funny as well. So it would be good.
Yeah. Are the DS actually the ex Special Forces guys? Are they actually big pussycats in real life? Are they all like pretty decent guys?
They're all top quality. I wouldn't call any of them pussycats because some of the stuff that they've done.
Maybe not pussycats. Maybe
like,
but nice people.
They're lovely people. Yeah. They're really lovely people. Like and very kind, very generous. Like Billy on this last shoot, he gave me his own camo Gore-Tex jacket, and it's just so nice of him to do something like that. And he's top draw. Do you know what I mean? You don't get much higher in the military doing what he did. Do you know what I mean? He was a very experienced guy, and he's got with that experience comes sort of confidence and ability and knowing of your own ability, and it's just really nice to be around. Like those guys can spend any amount of time out in the wild and they'll be okay. Yeah. So you know that when you're out in these crazy places, you're going to be okay. We've got like the best. There's a guy called Swifty there. He's a Royal Marine, ex-Royal Marine. He could rope up anything, anywhere, and you'd be safe as hell. Do you know what I mean? He's just, you just feel so safe around them because we know exactly what they're doing, and they're brilliant at what they do. So yeah, they're brilliant people to hang around with.
Did you find while she was watching it, recording? Did you find that like the public people that were on the show were different to the celebrities, or did the celebrities, or did they all go out the window when they were on the show as well? They're just like the same kind of people.
That's a good question. Is that?
But they've got their egos, some of them, haven't they, of celebs when they go into these things. But it looks so brutal when you watch it, like they're taking no shit and
they pull no punches, do they? I mean, there's no real difference between how they treat. Well, there is no difference between how they treat the normal recruits and the celebrity recruits. And and I think thank God really, because it'd be a bit embarrassing, wouldn't it, if they were a bit too nice around and stuff like that. But you know, there is certainly a bit of a big difference, because you know the celebs know. It's weird because the celebs know how cameras work a little bit more, or a lot more, and the normal people don't. It's weird because the celebs can sometimes, you can see them looking for the camera sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which feels more unnatural than the other way around. You know what I mean? So it's weird actually. The sort of non-celeb version is a bit different from in that respect.
Yeah.
But I mean, you watched like last year's one in Chile. Yeah, that was hardcore. That like what AJ and Wayne Bridge and all that went through, and Jeff went through by the end of that was just phenomenal, really. And Vicky there up in the Andes, it's tough. There's no messing about it. And I think anybody who applies to go on it, whether you know, because it's I'm all right. I get to go back to a nice hotel room every night. You know what I mean? I get picked up in the morning. Generally, I get picked up and taken in a decent car. And if I want a cup of coffee when I get there, I know I'm going to get a bacon sandwich. And I know, do you know what I mean? I know that.
Yeah.
I can take a full box of like grenade bars with me on the trip, and know that I can eat 2 of them a day, and I'm going to be fine. I'm not going to be hungry. But they can't. They get like shit. They get shit food. They get shit bed.
It has that feeling though, like you watch it and you're like, it looks so hard and grueling, and sometimes you're like, I'd love to try it like, just to test myself. But then by the end of the episode, you're like, nah.
That's true. Yeah.
I'll just watch it.
I used to be most nervous about the bit at the end where they they take them hostage and they do the interrogation.
Yeah.
That's the bit that's always sort of scared me the most, I think, through any of it. But actually, I think stress positions not so much. I don't think I'd like it.
I think that's the idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
No,
the screaming babies in the earphones and stuff and all that.
Yeah, that's the problem. And if you are enjoying it, there's maybe something going wrong a bit.
Yeah. So let's chat a little bit about Tyson Fury, the documentary, because that got a lot of press, obviously on ITV and this on the channel on the program this morning, and the wife went on it, and I remember seeing that, it just, I think it got a lot of attention because he hasn't really had cameras around him for that long, in terms of that long a period, to see who the real Tyson Fury is. And where did that, who came up with the idea, or who was, how were you involved with getting it started, or were you just brought on? How did it all come about?
It's really interesting, actually. I think there's a lot of all the credit has to go to a girl called Demi Doyle. She's a series producer on it. She's brilliant. She produces a show for ITVB, I think, down in Ascot. And I think through the show that she does for ITVB, she got to know somebody who knows Tyson Fury. And it came about that everybody wanted to make a documentary about Tyson Fury. Everybody, Netflix, BBC, ITV, everybody was chasing after him. Everyone.
So for the kit and stuff, what were you filming on? And you having to do all the sound, or did you have a guy on boom?
We had the majority day-to-day stuff. I filmed all on my own with a Sony FS7 prime lenses. I'd standard, really small standard kit. Like I'd have a I think I had a 35, 50mm and 80mm prime, 70 to 200 zoom lens. And
so how come you're going with the prime lenses then? Because obviously documentary, you don't have time to change lenses and things like that. But obviously I know on the SAS you had zooms and stuff. But
I think I've been shooting documentaries on prime lenses since sort of, I think, like 2013 Benefit Street, when the C300 first came out. We realised quite quickly that if we had enough about us, we could shoot a lot of this on primes, and going into the correct situations, knowing what we're going to do, we should be all right. So I I mean, where possible, I try and shoot on a 50mm prime.
So is that just because you can go wide open a bit more? Because obviously on a zoom is like 2.8 or 4, whereas on a prime it could be,
wide open. Really make things look as sort of stylish and fit as possible. Really, so it's difficult, and you do miss stuff, and the edit do tell you get some fucking wides, and you've got to go back and you've got to make sure you get them. But I think if you can do it, do it. Why not?
That's
make it look
interesting.
nice.
No, because I thought you would have just stuck to a zoom lens or something, just for speed and stuff.
Quality, I guess, doesn't it? There's a bit of extra quality there.
Yeah, it just looks nicer through a decent bit of glass, doesn't it? I think it's difficult. You are making problems for yourself because it's not as easy to use, really. You've got to physically move yourself forward and backwards if you want to change your shot size. But it's
the next challenge to your filmmaking is anamorphic for the next documentary.
Yeah. mate, it's funny you say that because I did a taster tape before Christmas in Italy, shot on a Arri anamorphic lens.
Amazing.
And it wasn't just any sort of documentary. I can't tell you what it's about because it's a fucking taster. Oh my god, I really want to tell you what it's about. Was it
the Master Primes? Was it the Master anamorphics?
Yeah. Heavy big lenses.
They're not that bad, but yeah.
Running around Napoli with one of them.
What were you shooting on for that then? The Alexa Mini or something? Or Red?
Yeah, Mini, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Mini, Alexa Mini.
Yeah.
Honestly, it looked sick. It looked so nice. So yeah, I think
that's the way forward now, is it? Doing anamorphic is the way forward for you.
Expensive. It's a bit expensive,
especially when it's 6 cameras.
Yeah, and you fall over one of those ditches and smash one.
Oh my god, bro. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, I mean, it was a bit like that running around Milan and Napoli. It was a bit hectic, but it wasn't as chaotic as something like SAS, thank God. But still, it's hard work. But you know what? Why not? Because I think we can do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we can do it out there. It's just the expense probably that's stopping it really.
With going back to Tyson quickly, what was he like when you shoot it? Like if you're trying to direct him a little bit, or give a bit of guidance and see, or was he just like, look, I'm doing it my way, just film me?
The first day I filmed with Tyson Fury, we went off to the sunbeds. We were going to the sunbeds, and I got in his car, in his massive, nice Range Rover, and he turned on the stereo. I think it was Skepta, shut down on. It was fucking heavy grime, pounding out the speakers. I couldn't hear a word he was saying. He started telling me about. He was telling me about the Gypsy King, where he got the name Gypsy King, and it was brilliant. Like, it was so interesting. And all you could hear was this boom, 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 Skepta rapping over the top. I said, "Can we turn it down a bit, please, Tyson? Because I can't hear what you're saying." And he just sort of turned it up even higher. It's like there's no directing Tyson Fury. He does what he wants, and thankfully that's who he is and what he is, because he's brilliant, and he just does what he wants. But when it comes to sort of directing, you've got to be very subtle. Plant seeds a couple of days in advance of what he's actually wanting. Because if you tell him on the day that you want him to do something, there's no way you're going to do it. You know what I mean? He'll do it because he wants to do what he wants to do.
Yeah, a few days before, and on the day, it's like it's his idea.
I hope he don't watch this. He'll understand how we got all the good stuff now. No, but Tyson knows what he's doing. He's a clever guy, and he knows what he knows what he wants to show us, and he knows what what he might not want it to show us. So it's a sort of partnership, isn't it? Really,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it was challenging. It was challenging, and what you think is usually really an easy part of the process, filmmaking. Like these entrance exit shots. You just like your Lego blocks, really easy. Stuff that you need to get is incredibly difficult, because he arrives at somewhere, and he's like 500 people, 1,000 people there waiting for him to arrive. Do you know what I mean? If he's arriving in Bristol for some talk, or if he's arriving at the MGM Grand, or it's no mean feat. It's no small. It's not a small occasion. So getting those sort of really basic shots can be just hectic and really tiring, because they'll take forever, because you just got to get through all that many people. You might lose him. He might be, you can't lose him. If you lose him in a crowd, he's got security guards, but we don't have security guards. We've got to keep up. Do you know what I mean? It's like the SAS all over again. And to try and get through a big scrum of people is just fucking hectic. So just getting those really normal filmmaking shots could be quite tricky. But I think we nailed it by the end. I hope we did.
Yeah, definitely. I think you got a really good sort of thorough kind of understanding of who he was, just by observing him, really, like you said, and I guess like you said, like you just plant seeds and hopefully he does those things the following day or whatever, and they might listen to you.
What was difficult? So you know what you're saying there is damn right, because the final one, it's difficult directing him. He doesn't want you to see certain things, and it'd be really surprising. It'd surprise you what he doesn't want you to see. So there's a guy in the final episode who's come along, and he's on his bike, and Tyson's with his kids fishing, and the guy wants to talk to him, and it dawns on Tyson that he might be going through some shit himself, so he might be depressed and blah blah. And he goes running off to chase after him, and I go running off after Tyson to chase after him, but Tyson turns around and says, "I don't want you to fucking film this." But I'm like, I know that Tyson's about to go and talk some nice and some sense into this kid, and he's going to give him a pep talk. So I know it's going to be good, because I've seen it happen 100 times, but he's never let me film him be nice, because he thinks it's all set up for the camera, which is not, because it just fucking happened, and that's how it. And it happened every day I was with him. But I ended up having to film it from like 20 yards away on a long lens, hiding in the
woods.
Bushes, because if he'd have seen me, he'd have said, "Fuck off, Phil, don't do that." Do you know what I mean?
So I thought it was weird that he was like, "Oh, I can tell that kid's got issues," because I was like, "How do you know that?" If he's just said hi, and I'm like, I just thought it was a bit random him chasing after him. But I mean,
it was really. But I'm not kidding. And I wish we'd have put more scenes like this in, because I'm not kidding. Every day that happened, every day he touches people, and people come to him with the deepest, darkest worries and problems, and he's really like aware of it. It's like it's not like a sixth sense. He just picks up on their vibes really, really well. I've seen so many people come up to him, and it could be 60-year-old women, 70-year-old women whose husbands of going through some shit, and they've said, you coming out and talking about the depression and anxiety the way you do has really changed my husband's life, and that happens every day. Like, people were telling him that every day. So for me, it wasn't a surprise, but I know for the audience, they're like, "What the fuck? How does he know?" He just knows people. He thinks to himself, why is there a young kid on a bike on his own down by this river? Like, there's a big high bridge there. Do you know what I mean? And he's just very quick to put two and two together, and he's thought, he might be in trouble. I need to speak to him. So he just ran off, and he said that sort of world is more important to him now than his boxing. His boxing gives him a platform to talk about that stuff, because it's that stuff that's really important.
Yeah, I saw it. He did that stuff on stage, didn't he? Which was, I think, that wasn't really nice to see as well.
Yeah, I think that's sort of surprising to see from somebody of his stature and from his background, and it's really refreshing. And thank God we've got people like that, in Britain to sort of look up to and follow. Do you know what I mean? If he can, like he said, if he can come out of the hell that he was in with his drugs and alcohol, then, and if he can do it, why can't we all can? So 100%. The whole time I was being with the travelling community, I have been made to feel 100% welcome. I've been treated like a king. I've been looked after. Everybody's been so polite and nice to me. It's been a laugh. I've had just non-stop fun, and that's not just with Tyson's family. That's with the whole community, you know, in the northwest and actually the whole of UK, because he's got links all over the place. So we went everywhere, and they're wonderful people. Like they are really, really wonderful people. And I think, you know, it was a shame was that show the other night, and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I learned a lot about those people, if you like. That sounds so fucking awful saying that. These people, the human beings, just like the fucking rest of us. Do you know what I mean? There shouldn't be any difference. We've just got a few, you know, we've got a few different opinions about certain stuff. Do you know what I mean? But actually, we're all the same, aren't we? We're all the same. So. Yeah. Mad.
So, well, I guess what's next up for you? Anything on the cards?
Are you looking at doing maybe some structured documentary, as in, like, you know, so I don't know, a bit like the Icarus thing, or you know, where you can, it's a little bit more formulaic. It's more like interviews and rather than observational. You know,
I like that. I like the idea of that. I've also quite gotten into when I really wanted to get into documentaries, I started really like drama documentaries, and I've got a feeling that I really want to sort of make a not remake of actuality events, but maybe a little bit, because I think it could be quite interesting, and I think the Americans do that a lot. They do a lot of reconstruction, but it's not overtly a reconstruction. Do you know what I mean? It's not like Crime Watch, where we do a Crime Watch reconstruction. It feels quite natural and it looks really good as well. So a possibility of that. But I do love these sort of long jobs where I get to bed in with a family or whoever, people, and live with them for a year or whatever, and really get to know them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the moment, all my contracts and future contracts have been thrown out the window with a
Yeah.
So sure. I honestly don't know what I'm doing, lads. Do you? I don't know what I'm
doing. No, I don't know what we're doing.
So scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got to forget about 2020 and just look to 2021.
Yeah, exactly. Just you went down a year at school. That's just exactly the same thing. This is what it's like.
I've been held back again.
You've been held back a year again. I was, and it's happened again. It's happened again. I've lost 2 years of my life, basically.
Oh,
this year and the other year.
Do you sort of rewind your own age as well, then, or have you managed to keep up?
Yeah, I've lost 10 years now. So, like, what little bit of advice would you give just to round up on everything? Like, if people wanting to go out there and do some observational documentary or documentary making in general, filmmaking in general. What's your kind of advice? Because we're always trying to get inspire other filmmakers, but with this channel, what's your kind of advice you give people?
I think if you've got an interest in documentaries and stuff, get out there and make stuff. We're living in a wonderful world now where we've got YouTube, we've got camera phones, and you can do it. Like, my mates say to me all the time, I don't know why you don't put stuff on your own YouTube channel and I don't know. It's a weird.
If you do things as a living, you don't want to do it in your spare time because
that's different. I think.
That's exactly I know if I was making a feature film now, I wouldn't have time for this. So it's just it's the way it seems. Isn't it?
But I think in terms of like offering any sort of advice, anything is possible. Like if you'd have told me. Mate, I was living in a car in London. I was homeless when I moved to London when I was 24, and I was living in a car. And if you'd have told me then, by the time almost 20 years later, I would be filming the heavyweight champion of the world, doing documentary. Mate, I don't know. Anything's possible, innit? Yeah. If you work hard and have got goals and you give yourself targets of what you want to be doing, anything's possible. And just that Strangest Village in Britain documentary, the first one that I ever shot, I was reading the instruction manual about 75-70 on the way into the location on that first morning. Do you know what I mean? I was literally reading it. So you just got to go for it, haven't you?
That's a lovely way to round up.
Don't show any weakness. Just fucking go for it. Can you use that camera? Yeah, of course I can.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that, 100%.
No problem.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, because if you don't pick it up and take it, somebody else will.
Yeah.
And they probably don't know how to use it either. But
No.
I mean, always you know this. Like, there's a really important button. Press that one. That starts it. That stops it. I mean,
and don't let the battery
find
die, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that, again, that's why I film everything wide. Just get it. Just get the basics down. You know what I mean. Just make sure that people can see and hear what it is you're seeing and hearing, and hopefully what it is you're seeing and hearing is interesting.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then find something interesting.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Phil, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you both for having me. Honestly, it's been
Cheers,
really
mate.
Interesting and fun to talk to you both. Thank you very much.
And next week we've got David Mullen, ASC, who does Mrs. Maisel, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon.
Right.
He also has done Big Love. He's also done Westworld. I mean, it's going to be an absolute treat to get this cinematographer on. So we're very much looking forward to that. Until then, everyone take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Cheers. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys. See you.
Cheers, guys. Thanks, Phil.
Cheers, boys.